my wife Holly in the late 90s.
We actually met at church. He had a jet ski, so.
And you know, when we were first married, my wife and I took a trip out to South Dakota, and I saw some wood carvings, and I told my wife, I said, I could do that. She's like, yeah, whatever.
Oh, okay.
So we got home, I kind of forgot about it.
We had a wood stove in our house, so we heated with firewood.
And I was out in the woods, cutting firewood. Running the saw like that drives me crazy, it's so boring. So I started playing with the wood carvings.
But he had carved this cabin type thing and thought, what are you doing? What is this?
So I started doing a piece or two, you know, give a piece to your mom, do a piece for this or that, you know, one thing a month. We started looking into adoption. We found a place called Kazakhstan where we could actually adopt 2 kids at once.
We knew we were gonna need a pretty large amount. We're gonna have to sell all your chainsaws.
And I'd seen there's a carving competition in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Let me do that. Just one time, I promise I'll come home, the saws will go away.
One last event he went to and won.
The guy that put it on came to me right after I won it. He said, the guy that has carved for me for years, he just told me he's not gonna work for me this summer.
To this gentleman, he needed carvings at his shop. So he would carve, I would seal them, put the urethane on, and then we'd load them up, make a trip.
We burned the roads up between Kentucky and Arkansas that year, just burn them up.
And then we left in August for our first adoption.
You know, at the end of that year, I got home with Andrew and Elizabeth, and we didn't have to go into debt for it. It wasn't the easiest money I'd ever made, but it was sufficient for the time. Phone started ringing, and the more it rang, my wife here, she said, you know what this means, it's time for number 3. So anyway, we adopted Hannah, who is now 10.
Every time his carving picked up, we felt like, okay, maybe it's time to go adopt another child, so.
So we go for number 4, and we have Luke. But my goodness, he is something special, really something special. Man, I need to raise money for this, and I need to raise money for this. But I'm not a rich guy. I just don't have that to be able to say, you know what, I'm gonna write a $10,000 check so you can do this in, you know, in Ukraine or Myanmar. I was like, God, why do you put all these big things, these ideas in my head that you can help these kids, and I'm like, but I can't. I just got back from Orlando at the Ace Hardware show. Thousands of franchisees from Ace Hardware there. I work with a company out in Indiana called Bear Hollow. And they set it up, and they're like, you're gonna go carve for Kona, and I'm like, seriously? You live in Kentucky, you don't know what Kona is? I'm like, I have no idea.
He's sending me pictures, he's like, oh, our kids would love this, you know, trying all these different flavors, this is so cool.
And then it's like supper time, and so I go up and I'm like, well, I guess I'll just find somebody to sit with. I found an open seat, and I just started asking questions, so what is it you guys do? You know, and he was like, it is the greatest thing in the world. I'm like, really? You do this like full time? He's like, oh yeah. I'm there until, it had to be close to 2 o'clock in the morning, just talking to different franchisees, hanging out. I didn't do that at the Ace Hardware show, I can tell you that. You know, I've been to so many conventions, and I've just never seen people that were just 100% in on what they did, but all of them were like, oh, you know how much I got to give back last year. You know how much, how many people. Let me tell you a story about this kid that came up to me at the end of the year and, you know, or sent me this card. I'm like, that's not the stories you expect to hear. Kona came up right at the same time that I had all these thoughts of, man, I'd like to be able to do more. I'd like to be able to give more.
When we went to Louisville, that's when we saw not 1, not 2, but 3 Kona trucks there. And we were like, okay, maybe, you know, God seems to be placing things in our path. Maybe this is, you know, what he has in store for us. We
didn't get into Kona because I'm looking to have a nicer house. I have a big need for money because I have things I like to support.
We actually did a fundraiser recently for that one's for Ukraine, and raised $3,000. And that's something we couldn't do on our own.
I'm looking for it to enhance my life and you know, let me make other people's lives better. That's what I'm looking for. Sometimes you have a passion on, you know, that you're like, I really would like to see other people get passionate about. Just passionate about something outside of themselves. It's what I try to teach my kids, and it's so hard. And when you see your kids all of a sudden take a passion about something, that's what I want you to catch in life. Don't catch that I want you to be rich. Catch that your life it's just not all about you. If you make your life not all about you, you'll make your life. So, the end.